refinery facilities is causing cancer in the area. They just don't care, guys. They don't have no regulations for their business because who gives an F about the environment in China? They really don't care. So this is why China's able to excel in their infrastructure a lot because they don't have all these rules and regulations. I'll say that right now. And they don't, and all the tree huggers in China are just going to get mowed down with the tree. I know, right? Tough.
As we drove to this oil facility 3 hours south of Beijing, it was soon clear we weren't welcome.
These guys are just trying to block the camera, basically.
A black van pulled up, blocking our view of one of the many refineries dotting China's coast.
Security here is really tight. This is a facility which is sanctioned by the U.S. government for allegedly importing Iranian oil.
Iran sends most of its oil to China. That trade is in the spotlight ahead of President Trump's arrival in Beijing this week, with the U.S.-Iran ceasefire under strain.
And guys, what you also got to understand is that the Iranian shadow fleets, like 20 of them made it through our blockade. 20 Iranian shadow fleets off to China made it through our blockade. And this is why, like, our intelligence came out and said, well, Iran could last out this blockade forever because there's the shadow fleets that could possibly still make it through the strait or still make it through the blockade. And then, of course, there's the Caspian Sea and the railway to China that they have, that it could still, transport oil to China and Russia.
The day before Trump departed for China, Washington blacklisted a dozen people and entities it says are linked to the trade of oil.
Oh, guys, man, and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's try to get to 100 likes. Help me out by double tapping that screen.
From Iran to China. 5 Chinese oil refineries and multiple port terminals have been sanctioned by the U.S. since last year for allegedly importing Iranian oil. The company we visited, Hebei Xinhai, was sanctioned last May. It declined CNN's request to be interviewed. It was hard to tell what kind of oil the plant was processing, but sanctions clearly hadn't shut it down. The U.S. has been increasingly imposing sanctions on Chinese entities it believes are involved in the trade of oil from Iran.
They are the largest state sponsor of terrorism, and China has been financing them with their energy purchases.
Yep.
For its part, China doesn't acknowledge importing Iranian oil. It also rejects U.S. sanctions and has been pushing back. Earlier this month, Beijing ordered companies not to comply with sanctions on refineries.
Yeah.
Multiple ports south of me here.
Pretty much for the first time, China pretty much just said F yo sanctions. And I mean, that was surprising. I was like, whoa, you're telling us you're not going to follow our sanctions? Like, yeah, we're not going to follow. We're just going to start trading in our own currency. And a lot of these other countries are getting down with that idea. It's like this, I'm saying this war is actually pushing other countries towards the Chinese yuan. And that is actually our worst fear. I mean, even the UAE pulling out of OPEC to make more oil to trade in other currencies, including the Chinese yuan, is very concerning.
Here, as well as across the ocean this direction, are believed to have continued to import Iranian oil throughout the course of the war.
This oil is carried by a network of vessels, including those known as the Shadow Fleet. The oil is loaded in Iran and shipped out, often to a floating gas station off the coast of Malaysia, where dozens of boats loiter with their tracking devices turned off, trading sanctioned oil and ferrying it to buyers, like those in China. CNN pinpointed one such transfer, where the Iranian-flagged vessel Herbie transferred oil to a China-bound tanker just last month. Weeks later, the Herbie was intercepted by the U.S. Navy on its way back to Iran. Once those ship-to-ship transfers are complete, ships heading for China blend in with thousands of other vessels regularly transiting through these waters. For the U.S., that's a major problem.
Yep.
But for China, this oil flow is powering.
And yeah, what you pretty much explained is like, yeah, this is how these shadow fleets make it through the blockade. And like they're pretty much hiding behind other ships, or they hide their communications, switch out their flag, do all types of stuff to evade detection, and they're able to get through the blockade. Like I said, this is why our intelligence came out and said that, actually, they could survive about up to 6 months, because it's going to take some time for us to catch every shadow fleet that made it through and came right back. We'll probably be able to catch them the second time, but that first time they were still able to get some oil through. So this is why this whole blockade really doesn't make too much sense. Be real with you guys. It's not really helping us.
Its economy.
And it's not choking Iran's economy out like fast enough. I'll tell you that.
and keeping a close partner afloat. Simone McCarthy, CNN, Hebei Province, China.
The AI rivalry between the US and China is entering a new phase as the two superpowers race for dominance in artificial intelligence. A new report finds that the gap between them has now nearly vanished, despite US chip restrictions. House Gold has our details.
And we're leading China in AI. And I'm going to go see President Xi in 2 weeks. I look forward to that, but I'll say I'm leading. We have very friendly competition.
That was President Trump recently commenting on the AI race between the US and China. But according to Stanford's 2026 AI Index, produced by the university's Institute for Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence, the gap in AI performance between the two nations has now effectively closed.
The gap is very small, and then the US model will release and it'll perform a bit better, and then the Chinese models will catch up. And that's the trend that we have been seeing over the past year.
Take a look at this chart. American and Chinese AI models are now effectively neck and neck on key performance benchmarks. The report finds the US still leads in top-tier model releases, but China leads in research publications and robotics deployment.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, we got better AI models, but these guys' robotics are top notch. And that's the thing. We don't really do too much robotics here in the United States. We should, but I'm gonna be real with you. China's going towards this whole AI robotics to most likely replace their workforce, the same way I guess we're going for it too. But you got to remember, nobody gives a fuck in China. They don't care. I mean, well, like I said, only 100 million people win in China or are actually doing well in China. The rest of them just suffer and they don't care. Now, us in America, we could never. So this is kind of why our government is a bit more hesitant to do this to us. But I'm not going to lie. Their advancement in AI and robotics, I like it. Why? Because one, it shows what we can also do as well. And two, it's like a tester. I get to see, what they do to their population with this advanced technology. Because China ain't doing any better when it comes to bringing people out of poverty. I'll tell you that right now. But their technology is amazing.
Experts are closely monitoring the trend.
Robotics is an area where I think Chinese innovators have been doing phenomenally impressive work. There are some areas in which I think China has also arguably been leading the way. So in advanced video generation, for example, several Chinese models have been absolutely state-of-the-art.
The Stanford report also says the U.S. still invests far more money in the field than any other country. Private investment in the U.S. totaled more than $280 billion last year, about 23 times more than China's $12 billion.
In between 2024
and here's the thing, you know what? I think if we was to stop so much with the models and maybe move into robotics a little bit more, because I mean that would up manufacturing, and those are actually jobs that Americans can work, instead of just these data factories that drag out on our resources, and not too many people can work in these data factories, but a whole lot of people can work on robotics or robotic parts and all that good stuff. And it's worth the transportation of these parts. So I actually see it being more beneficial. We actually split it up instead of working so much on the models, actually also push towards, robotics as well. I mean, it requires more of a human touch.
2025, we saw almost double the corporate investment the private investment globally around.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen and liking the video. And like I said, if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, feel free to super chat that in. Appreciate the support.
The world that is largely driven in the US, though other countries such as China do have more public investment.
China's DeepSeek recently unveiled its new model, V4. The startup took the global AI industry by storm last year with its groundbreaking release of the R1 model. It delivered near industry-leading performance at what DeepSeek said was a fraction of the cost. Unlike R1, which used NVIDIA chips, V4 is running on domestically produced chips, following restrictions on China's access to cutting-edge American chips, such as NVIDIA's Blackwell, under Washington's export controls.
And they've developed efficiency innovations to try to squeeze more performance out of less cutting edge chips. And so in some ways, the export control constraints have forced Chinese companies to innovate in a unique way.
But all right, guys, now that we're all into that, we kind of understand what's going on with China and the US and the whole AI race, and how everybody's putting all their chips in on it. Let's go ahead and move topics here to fired whistleblower details on Ghislaine Maxwell's special treatment. special treatment of Ghislaine Maxwell's trafficking children, pretty much trafficking women to, well, they were trying to say it's a nobody else but Epstein, but we all found out that that was a lie. So let's get into it.
Tonight, a former employee at Ghislaine Maxwell's prison is speaking out and sharing emails with Outfront that she says show that Maxwell received special treatment at the facility. Now, in one email, Maxwell is exuberant about the minimum security prison she was mysteriously transferred to just a week after her 2-day interview with then deputy.
Bro, she can get makeup, a dog. She can go ahead and walk around the facility and have a nice day. And here's the wild part. This facility is supposed to be for, well, high income prisoners who've only committed nonviolent crimes. I'm gonna be real with you. Trafficking children, I'm gonna take that as a violent, heinous crime. She should not be there, but she is. And why is she getting special treatment? Well, ask Todd Blanche. Ask his ass.
Attorney General Todd Blanche. She writes, quote, "The food is legions better. The place is clean. The staff is responsive and polite. I feel like I have dropped through Alice in Wonderland's looking glass. I am much, much happier here and more importantly, safe." Interesting.
Now,
Describe it as
I've never been the hater type. I'm not. I really don't. It's really hard for me to hate people, but it irritates me that she's having a good time. I mean, am I wrong for that? Why does it irritate me? Why does it enrage me that she's having a good time when she was literally trafficking children and ruining their lives? Like, why does that irritate me so much?
happy. It comes after our MJ Lee spoke exclusively with other inmates at the prison who gave examples about the special treatment Maxwell's received, including one inmate who spoke to MJ anonymously because she's still serving time inside that prison.
Wow. She'd get bottled waters and clamshell meals delivered to her room.
All of this raising very serious questions about why a convicted child sex offender was not only serving time at a minimum security facility, but also allegedly receiving this kind of treatment. Out front now, Noella Turnage, former employee at federal prison camp Bryan, who was fired for sharing.
No, I feel you, Molotov Juice Box. I get it. Trust me. I hate all those human traffickings, but to wish suffering on somebody, though, it's just something that I just don't see myself doing. But when it comes to her, it's just like, wow, you're having such a good time. I'm kind of wishing suffering on this lady right now. I'm not even gonna lie. Man, that sucks.
Maxwell's emails. And Noella, these emails are obviously so important to understanding what's happening here. And I want to read more specific emails that you've shared with us. But first, what we just heard there, clamshell meals, bottled water delivered to Maxwell's room. What more can you tell us about the special treatment that Maxwell is receiving?
I mean, Maxwell getting better treatment than 99% of Americans. I'll tell you that right now. I ain't no way.
Well, Aaron, what I think it's important to understand is I never actually laid eyes on Maxwell. Everything I knew about what happened with her was from the content of those emails, which were what she was sending home to friends, to family, so on and so forth. What I can tell you is that the things that were being done for her were not common for any of the other inmates, not even the other high-profile inmates.
And what were some of the things that stood out to you from the
inmates? They gave her an umbrella. Her ass over here going like, it is too hot outside. I can't get an umbrella. If it was me, I'd be like, you're a human trafficker. You know what? F it. Go out there. You need a tan. Actually, I'm going to make sure you're out there for a couple hours longer. It's like, look how comfortable she looks. Bro, is that a phone? No. That's probably her glasses.
And what were some of the things that stood out to you from the emails, exchanges that you read?
Well, the two main things for me were the visit that was arranged for her, because what wasn't very highly publicized about that was the lengths they went to provide a private visit for Maxwell actually caused visitation to be shut down for the rest of the inmates that weekend. They were not able to see their families that Saturday to make way for Maxwell to see her visitors. There was also the warden's personal handling of her mail, which may not...
I'm sorry, but at this point, y'all treating her like an intelligence asset. But y'all were trying to tell us that, oh, no, her and MC had no links to intelligence. All right, well, I'm going to be real with you. Maybe I'm being conspiratorial, but why else wouldn't you want nobody around when y'all talking to her when she's getting visited? if you don't want nobody even hearing the conversation. You don't even want nobody like getting an earful of anything to where you need to clear out everybody else's visitation, which is fucked up, by the way. But that kind of shows me that you really don't want nobody catching nothing of what's being said during those visitations. Like I said, y'all treating her like an intelligence asset. Like I said, maybe I'm going a bit too far, but I don't know, man. It just seems a bit weird.
Sound like a big deal to some people, but the other inmates in that prison, Aaron, they have a hard time getting out their regular mail, much less anything needed for court.
Low key though, and somebody asked a good question too. Who the hell is those visitors to where they gotta cancel out other people? Like, if it's just your brother, she has a brother who thinks she's innocent and all this good stuff. I could see that. And you don't need to cancel everybody else or clear out the whole visitation room for her brother. So who is visiting Ghislaine Maxwell to where they got to clear out like that?
Filings and things such as that. So for them to go out of the way to make sure that Maxwell had that opportunity was pretty disgusting to me.
Insane.
So let me talk about one of the visit that you're, I believe, referring to, an email that you shared with us from Maxwell to her brother, which gave details about his upcoming visit to her, in which she writes, quote, "I believe they will provide some water, coffee, and snack. You will not go without anything after flying all the way from the UK. Also, you will arrive at the front like everyone else, but there will be a cordoned-off area for you. Only you will go there. They will be waiting for you from 8 a.m. Now, Noella, you worked at that prison for over 6 years. You were a nurse before you were moved to your role in the mailroom, and you were monitoring phone calls and emails at that. But you've had many roles in the prison. Were other inmates, visitors provided, areas like this, drinks, snacks, all of the things she describes here?
Oh, absolutely not. The only option the other inmates or their visitors had were the overpriced vending machines and visitation. They weren't given anything.
So now the warden's role, which is really hard to understand here. Other emails that you shared with us, Maxwell is talking to her lawyer, and she says things like, Noella, the warden proposes August 18th for your visit. So she brings the warden up in that context. In another, she tells her lawyer, I checked with the warden, and she would rather that I send all the updates through her. So she keeps referencing the warden as if she's having conversations with the warden.
Like, low key, she's referencing the warden like that's the homie. Like, man, look, man, like my homie, the warden, me and her real tight. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and get in a good word. We're gonna go ahead and get you up in here. I talked to her just like 2 days ago. She had me up in there, she tossed me a burrito and all that. I'm like, what? Like I said, when you talk about the warden like she's just a homie, she's the homegirl, it kind of makes you wonder, damn, how powerful was Epstein and how powerful was Ghislaine? And at the end of the day, remember, this is a daughter of an ex-spy, Robert Maxwell. And it now it just leads into more questioning here about how much power did these two really have. She's getting whatever she's wanting in the prison, dogs, mini concerts, good food, and of course, daily walks. Guys, and of course, she gets private visitation to the point where they're clearing out everybody else's. It really makes you wonder, like, how much power do these two really have to get this type of treatment? Because this is unreasonable. Like, if somebody literally told me, like, yeah, this is how we're gonna start treating her, I would literally have to smack them in the face and be like, did you forget that she trafficked little girls? Did you forget about that part, bro? So I'm literally baffled. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of lost for words. Didn't think they was gonna do her this nice.
And they are directly communicating about things. How unusual is that?
That is highly unusual, Aaron. Pretty much the only time you see the warden talk to inmates there is they can't approach her at what we call mainline, which is kind of when they're on their way back and forth from the chow hall. Other than that, they, for the most part, do not have direct access to the warden, and certainly not at their convenience.
Bruh, she sounded like all she got to do is go out to the gate and just snap her fingers twice. The warden going to pull up and be like, what can I do for you, Miss Maxwell? Please, what can I do for you? I'm so sorry. I was supposed to be here on the first snap, but you had to do it twice. I'm so sorry. And she's just there like, I need some time in your office. It's like, bro, it kind of sounds like she's just getting her way in there. I could only imagine I know I'm over exaggerating it right now, but let's be real. She's getting her way in there, and she shouldn't be at all. She should be having a terrible time, but it sounds like she's just running the place. Oh man, she's getting meetings with the warden, whatever she wants. Please tell me a regular prisoner that can do that.
So in response to CNN's exclusive reporting from other Bryan prison inmates who have said they were punished for speaking out about what they say is special treatment that Maxwell got, a Bureau of Prison spokesperson, responded to us, Noella, and said in part, the BOP is committed to maintaining the highest standards of integrity, impartiality, and professionalism in the operation of its facilities. They went on to say that BOP staff are prohibited from, quote, providing preferential treatment to any inmate. So there it is in black and white. What do you say to that?
I say that they can claim to be committed to it as much as they want. What they say and what they do are two very, very different things.
Your allegations are part of a report in the House Oversight Committee that Democrats put together that alleges a cover up from the Trump administration on Maxwell, how she's treated. These questions that have not been answered, Noella, as to why she ended up in that facility after that interview with the then Deputy Attorney General, a facility where someone who is convicted for her crimes would never ordinarily ever end up. But because it is a report by Democrats that your emails are a part of, I want to give you a chance to directly respond to some who might say you're motivated by politics. What do you say to that charge?
Aaron, up until all of this, I honestly could have cared less about politics. I registered to vote at 18. I have been a registered Republican since then. I have voted Democrat one time in my life. I voted for Obama to annoy my mother, and it worked. As that would have it.
Childish.
No, it wasn't political at all.
Childish.
The only reason I chose to go to the Democrats is because I had been reporting so many other things along with some other employees there. One of the biggest of which was medical neglect. I went to OIG. I went to a federal judge. I went to different politicians, both Democrat and Republican. Nobody would listen to what we were trying to tell them was going on there.
One of the top issues for survivors is that only Ghislaine Maxwell has been charged related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. And Todd Blanche, for his part, has said no further charges should be brought. He said he's looked at the evidence.
Hey, yo, guys. So the warden for the prison that she's in is Dr. Tanisha Hall. I mean, I wonder what race is she? I wonder.
Since what he's seen, no further charges should be brought. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, again, we've pleaded with the survivors. If there are specific names of people that are still alive that have, committed terrible crimes to underage girls, then if they would tell us, we will bring them in. And in a bipartisan fashion, we will ask them every question under oath. And if we can have criminal referrals to give to Todd Blanche at the Department of Justice, we are able and willing to do that. I've got Nancy Mace on the committee, Anna Paulina Luna, Lauren Boebert. These ladies on the committee, these Republican women, they are just as committed to prosecuting people and holding people accountable for wrongdoing. I've subpoenaed all the documents from the estate. We have every single document from the estate. Many of the survivors and their attorneys thought that getting the documents from the estate would lead to some names of people that could be convicted, but there weren't any. Now, did someone go in and clean out the estate? The lawyer said they didn't. The accountant said they didn't. Did the federal government? I don't know. We have lots of suspicions about Epstein, whether he was an asset for a foreign country or the United States. We're trying to get to the bottom of this, and I think we've been very transparent with it. It's just been a very difficult case because there's not been any evidence revealed other than many hundreds of poor innocent women that have come forward and said how they were abused by Epstein and Maxwell.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the next one there. Yeah, my bad. I was trying to look up this, Tanisha Hall. This is the warden of the prison that Ghislaine Maxwell is in, which is kind of crazy that she's getting such great treatment. But all right, though, let's go ahead and move it along. Let's look at the right side of media with Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham. Yeah, prepare yourselves for this one.
We appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
How do you interpret this? Because I think you and I both would agree. On paper, the top geopolitical foe of the U.S. is China. However, you see this, you see America's best and brightest business minds. They're all here in Beijing. They're all going to be at those meetings. It seems a lot of this is based on mutual interest financially, especially.
Yeah, I think so. Number one, I'm glad President Trump is representing our country. He's the right guy to do deals. He's a deal maker. And I think he'll come out of this summit with a lot of business opportunity, getting into China's markets that have been closed. They could buy a lot from our American farmer to help the American farm economy. We can do things to help them. They can do things to help us. We got the A-team from an American point of view. But I'm not thinking about happy children when I think about China. This is going to be judged by me. By me.
Hey guys, you know what's so interesting too? So yeah, I mean, if you can't really find any pictures of Ghislaine Maxwell Warden or anything like that. Yeah, any of her information is not going to be public information, of course, you know, because of privacy and all this good stuff. So yeah, we're dealing with a person that we have no way of honestly tracking, but that's working at the behest of Ghislaine Maxwell inside that prison. Huh. Man, talk about deep state.
If China still buys 90% of Iranian oil, they still are the #1 purchaser of Russian oil and gas.
Yeah.
When this summit is over and we do nothing about it, we'll made a big mistake. So he's sitting across, President Trump is trying to be charming and he's a very effective man. China's put on a hell of a show, but I'm going to judge a summit by what China does. She could pick up the phone and end the Russian-Ukraine war. He could pick up the phone and end the Iran conflict if he chose to. Without China...
I don't know about all that now. I wouldn't give Xi that much power. I could say Xi could sit there and, you know, I don't know, probably put in a good word for the U.S., but it's not in Xi's interest to go in there and stop Iran. If anything, it's in his interest to, one, keep this war going, and because it drains our resources, it ruins our economy. And I mean, let's just keep it real, guys. China's getting their oil. So, and they also get to see our weaponry in action and get to go ahead and make improvements to their own. So I'm gonna be real with you. He has really no incentives to stop this war at all because he's still getting his oil. I would say Russia has more of an incentive to get this war stopped than China.
Buying Iran oil, they would be out of business. The #1 purchaser of Russian oil and gas propping up Putin is China. And my message to President Trump is that we have your back. And if China continues to do this, well, without paying a price for disrupting the world, then we'll have made a huge mistake. I've got legislation that will allow President Trump to put tariffs on China for buying Russian oil and gas, and I'll do the same thing for Iran down the road. The only thing China respects is strength. So when this is over, if they're still doing the same damn thing with Iran and Russia, and we don't punish China, we've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what would their alternative be, Senator?
We're not going to do that. Like I said, there's already too much switches that China could pull on us, like trying to keep away rare earth minerals, and we can't do that. So any type of retaliation we can do against China is mute. Like right now, we're in a stalemate with China. We could flip some stuff off. We could flip some things off that destroy them, and they could flip some things off that destroy us. So we're kind of at a stalemate here when it comes to this whole trade war. We try to force them to do things our way. Trust me, like I said, they can start holding back rare earth minerals. It's not going to work out the way you want to with China.
In other words, I think maybe it's an opportunity we really haven't spent a lot of time talking about. Sure. You're right. About 90% of the oil they get from Iran. They want those Strait of Hormuz open. It was pretty fascinating when a Chinese tanker was hit in the Strait of Hormuz. That was shocking. Maybe the one remaining ally and friend that the Iranians have at this time. And clearly there is this unholy alliance. You have Vladimir Putin, you have Russia, you have Iran. You have
do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation. Double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going. Any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements? Feel free to super chat that in. Appreciate the support, guys.
North Korea that have been in an alliance. The reports, it will not be ignored by President Trump. I'm sure it will come up. that the Chinese have been assisting the Iranians in this conflict. But I guess, is that a prerequisite to doing other business deals in your mind?
No, I think you got to do two things at once. You try to build up the economic relationship, because over time that can change things. When you do business with people, you tend to look at them differently over time. But here's the problem. You name the allies of China, they're all dirtbags. They're aligned with the worst people in the world. They're buying oil cheaply from Iran, keeping their war machine going. Same thing with Russia. If China stopped buying Iranian oil or threatened to do it, the war in Iran would be over. All I'm asking China to do.
Yeah, but why would they do that when they need Iranian oil for their production and they get it at a cheap price? And here's the thing, America can't offer it at a cheaper price. So they're going to keep buying Iranian oil because it's just in their interest. And we can't pull any economic levers to make things worse on China without them pulling the same economic levers to make things worse on us. And we can't even use sanctions. That's causing further distrust in the dollar, and that's pushing people towards the Chinese yuan, and we don't want that. So I know Lindsey Graham want to sit here and be like, oh, well, we need to put pressure on everybody to put pressure on Iran. Yeah, well, we wouldn't have to do any of this if we didn't get into this war with Iran in the first place. I mean, this war was just a bad idea to get into, and all it does is, well, I'm be real with you, this actually gave leverage to China, if anything. Like, bro, if you're talking about Lindsey, if you're over here talking about, oh, well, we need to get China to talk to Iran, you're already proving that we're in a weak position when it comes to dealing with Iran if we need to talk to China.
Is help us open up the Strait of Hormuz, help us stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, because I think they would use it, help us end the bloodbath in Russia, Ukraine that is hurting the world economy. If you help us, I will be very grateful. If you don't help us and you continue to prop up these regimes, I will do business with you on Monday and put tariffs on you on Tuesday. And the only thing China understands is what I just said. Xi is not a crazy man. He's not irrational. If he believed President Trump would crush his economy, the Chinese economy, for propping up Putin and Iran, I think he would change his behavior. You don't need to threaten him directly, but you need to make it real to him.
Senator, we have a printout of what President Xi was saying to President Trump. It was not interpreted in real time. This is what he said. He said, I have always believed that the common interests between China and the U.S. outweigh the differences. He said that success of China and the U.S. is an opportunity for each other. He said stability of China-U.S. relations is a good thing for the world. He said he's looking forward to exchanging views with President Trump on major issues. And he said, let 2026 be a historic and landmark year for China-U.S. relations to carry on the past and open up the future. Now, would one alternative be, I mean, we are a net exporter of energy.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
Everything's possible.
That we export to them?
They're an export country. They don't have, they're 1.4 billion.
No, it's not possible because our oil is more expensive and they're getting the Iranian oil for probably like what? $50 a barrel, while Iran is selling it to everybody else for $90. Shoot, Russia went from selling their oil from $40, $50 a barrel to $90 a barrel. So no, China's not going to give that up. And unless we're willing to dramatically lower the price of our own oil, we can't be a replacement for China when it comes to Iran.
Chinese who live, a lot of them live in poverty. There's no Social Security. There's no Medicare. Our worst day is China's best day. They put on a hell of a show, but their economy is struggling. Inner China, coastal economy is strong. The inner part of China lives hand to mouth. I wouldn't trade places with them for all the tea in China. The bottom line here is I want a good relationship with China, but if President Trump doesn't make it clear to President Xi that your bad actions regarding Iran and Russia, fueling terrorism and a never-ending conflict, they need to change. And if they change, you'll be rewarded. If they don't, you'll be punished. If we don't communicate that, then I think we'll have failed, quite frankly, to achieve the goal of this summit for me, which
this may sound effed up, but Could we ever get a bunch of school kids, American school kids, to sit like that for the president and do that all in unison? Can we ever get them to do that, or are our kids too rambunctious? This asking.
And I think we'll have failed, quite frankly, to achieve the goal of this summit for me, which is to get China to be more normal.
Look, I think you hit it at the very beginning. You're dealing with the man that is the author of The Art of the Deal. And
Yeah,
one thing
best
President
guy we
Trump
could
said
have.
to me on the flight over here is said, everything is on the table. You
Yeah.
name it, it'll be brought up in the course of this trip here. Senator, we do appreciate you being with us. Thank you for your patience.
All right, guys, let's get into the next video here, and let's go. You know what? Actually, let's get into what was it? It was Pete Hegseth and Cash.